realized I probably should have just checked everything because I don't know.
You probably should.
I don't.
So first of all, you can record this. I have beef with Apple
As you
because
should.
I bought this MacBook. It's refurbished, but it's like a year old. This is my headphone jack. This like new to me MacBook doesn't have
Yep.
this.
No. Isn't that dumb? Like they literally switched their headphones from Lightning to USB-C, but then they left the 3.5 millimeter on all laptops, the normal headphone jack, and then they literally made these. I don't understand.
I am mortified. I went from thinking
That's
I needed to go buy a microphone to not even having headphones.
anything.
Nothing.
Welcome to the Sweet and Condensed Podcast, a podcast by people who love movies, people, and the magic that lives where they meet. All right, welcome back to another episode here on the Sweet and Condensed Podcast, and we have a very, very special guest, Amerique Rhodes, who is expert in Jim Henson. Did I say his name right? Jim Henson?
Yeah, but you said my name wrong. I'm Amerique Monagle.
I said Amerique Rhodes. I don't know where
Noah's gonna be so offended.
he's gonna be so. I think it's because I did where it says Amerique Monagle Rhodes. I tricked my own self. I wrote that on the hyphen because I hyphen all my friends' last names. Whoops. I mean, we have a very special guest, Amerique Monagle, aka Ricky. Sorry, Noah. Amerique, thank you for joining on the podcast.
You're welcome. I'm so excited.
We have a really special episode here because I was talking to Amerique. I don't know when it was. I want to say like months and months ago when you revealed to me you wrote like an in-depth thesis or something on Jim Henson and the Muppets. And is that correct? Like you did something in school on him?
Yeah. So I took a Christ in film. So I went to Azusa Pacific University, which is a like Christian liberal arts school in California. And for one of my, you have to take like different like Christian theory and philosophy classes in order to graduate. So one of my classes was Christ in film. And for my final like paper, I had to write a paper and then give a presentation on someone that I felt like represented Christ in film that we hadn't talked about in class. And so I chose Jim Henson.
I love that because I know almost little to nothing about him other than he was portrayed in Saturday Night Live or Saturday Night, the movie about the very first Saturday Night Live episode in 1975, and he was portrayed by the one and only Cousin Greg from Succession and Ponytail Derek from Perks of Being a Wallflower. And that's about all I know about Jim Henson, and I did not grow up watching the Muppets. So I'm very excited, and also been lying to a lot of people saying that you wrote like a dissertation on Jim Henson. But
no, it's not that. It wasn't that intense, but I like beyond. So I took that class in college. In high school, I also went to like a Lutheran school. I don't know why that's relevant to this comment, but I took a clowning and puppetry class.
like
Yes.
puppetry, like the art of puppets?
Puppetry. Yeah. Clowning and puppetry. And it was a whole semester taught by Mr. Ball, who's
Mr.
still
Ball.
the high school.
Love
He's
it.
the head of the Fine Arts Conservatory there now. And it was all about like character development. It was like a class for my fine arts credit. And I had to develop my own clown character. But then we also learned about like puppetry and different things. So there's like that weird history that I have. But then also like to backtrack even further into like Amerique puppet lore. That sounds so nerdy.
It's the best. It's so out there. I don't know. I didn't know puppetry was a word till just 3 seconds ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like a whole like I don't know, form of art and
It's a trade.
technology
It's a
within like
craft.
film theater. Yeah. And so then like prior to that, like more formal class, it was also paired with, I think that class was paired with like ballroom dance. So it was like two like performative type classes, I think. But then I also took like no, it wasn't paired with ballroom dance. The fact that my parents paid for me to go to this school is crazy. So I took ballroom dance, and then I also took history of rock and roll and
Okay.
history of American sports. That was one of my history credits.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's
So
so
Noah
wild.
and I are rewatching, or we're watching for the first time, Pop Culture Jeopardy. It's
Okay.
on it's on Prime. I highly recommend it if you're into Jeopardy at all. And it is like stupid how many of these things I know, and a lot of it is because of this class.
What? Wait, pop culture. It's like it's like the game, right? It's not like a
It's
documentary
like
or
a
something.
spin-off of Jeopardy, and Colin
Okay.
Jost is the host.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And they had like
Cool.
I think they had like 100,000 people try to get on it. It was like a
I
big
need to
thing.
check this out. I
It's
just found
really
out Colin Jost.
it's fun to watch with someone else
Uh-huh.
because like sometimes we'll be so confident in an answer and then it's like super wrong. And it's like
Oh,
but it doesn't matter. Like it's pop culture Jeopardy. But anyway, so then beyond like my weird high school, like pop culture, I also took like a film class in my senior year. So like there's all of that going on. But prior to that, when I was a kid, my dad was like, and my grandmother were really into telling stories as a part of like our bedtime routine.
okay.
But my dad, when he would tell stories, he used a puppet. So he like we still have it. The puppet's name is Spooky Cat, and it's
Okay.
this like, black like puppet. I wish I had thought to have these to
Oh,
show
that would have
you
been so amazing.
because we still have it. But he would like use the same characters, and he would use like the four of us as like the Rhodes kids to like we were like the GAC detectives, and we had to like find Spooky Cat. He would like use his cat to like tell us bedtime stories. And then Clayton, my youngest brother who has Down syndrome, he randomly one year for Christmas was gifted this like professional puppet, which
Okay.
again, we still have, and I'm like kicking myself that I didn't go and get it. It's at Clayton's house. Its name is Bob, like just Bob,
Bob.
and it looks like a little boy with like crazy hair, and it kind of looks like a Muppet. And like when Clayton it was like Bob was like a part of our family. Like Bob was just like always around the house, and like Clayton would use Bob to like talk, but it was also like this weird like comedic thing that we had this like very lifelike creepy puppet in our house.
Oh my.
Um, but and then like my grandmother, she also was this great storyteller when we were kids.
Okay.
I feel like that as like a young child, that kind of character development and creativity
Mm.
piece of all of this kind of flows into like why I'm like weirdly a fan of like Jim Henson and company.
That's amazing. This is all new stuff to me. I've known you for how many years? And like I love the what you said, the lore, the Amerique lore of and puppets. It's and a part of the bigger part of puppet lore and storytelling. When I first watched the season one of Righteous Gemstones on Max, and I was like, this is too close to home. That I said, someone in the production, Danny McBride created the show, stars in it. I was like, someone has to be a part of the church or used to be a part of the church. And then I found out it's McBride's mom, and he was raised in the church, and she was surprisingly too in puppet ministry.
Yeah.
And I find it fascinating that you just brought up about the storytelling and the creativity aspect of it. So I'm curious if it was his mom, like his mom did this, but I'm assuming Danny McBride was a part of those puppet ministries as a kid, and his storytelling now is just off the walls, but it's so funny. And I'm a big fan of Danny McBride. He might not be everyone's cup of tea, but anyways, that's a little side tangent about puppet lore, and storytelling. And I'm really excited to dive into this. I was scrolling through what you have laid out on our doc here, and I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, this is legit a lot of stuff that I had no idea. And especially for someone, I'm aware of the Muppets, but I don't recall watching Muppets very often. But Jim Henson, the Muppets, the world of puppetry and what he's done in life, I know very little. So why don't you just let's dive into it. What do you got to share with
Oh
us
my
about
God.
Jim Henson?
Jim Henson is what do you think of when you hear his name? I'm
Well,
curious. Like prior to us like scheduling this, what like if you were heard like Jim Henson, what would you think?
I truly would have thought, oh, Saturday Night Live. I saw the movie, or Saturday night. I saw the movie. He was a peculiar guy. They portrayed him like as like a hippie character. I believe he had like a bandana on his head. And it was funny because he looked different because, okay, so what's his name in real life? The guy who plays Jim Henson, Cousin Greg, aka Ponytail Derek, he plays two characters in the movie. And so he played the was it Andy Kaufman? Is that his the Andy Kaufman? I think that's his name. I
I
could
didn't
be
see
wrong.
it.
But
Or I should say I
the
haven't seen it yet.
it's pretty good. I mean, I like movies about history and learning about things that are, even if the movie's not like mind blowing, I'm like, these are all real people. Who's portraying who? Early days, Chevy Chase, Jim Belushi, and there are all these names that I know about. And I wasn't the biggest Saturday Night Live person, but seeing Dylan O'Brien play Dan Aykroyd was a lot of fun because I've seen Dan Aykroyd in a lot of other movies and shows and
Mhm.
stuff. But oh, Nicholas Braun is his name. Yeah, he played Andy Kaufman and Jim Henson. So I was like, what the heck's going on? I was like, it looks like Andy Kaufman, but it's a different character. And then I realized, oh, it's the same actor. But he was this like very peculiar, interesting dude. And then he had his Muppets with him. And I was like, what in the world? Like SNL started off with Muppets and very different humor. And I think the art and the performance obviously is different based on the context. And in the 70s and leading up to that, the 50s and 60s influencing comedy and what would skits, I guess that's what it is, skits or
Mhm.
and so watching it, I remember thinking, I don't think I would think the first SNL's funny, but I just was mind blown that the Muppets were involved. And that's literally what I would have thought about Jim Henson, because that was my introduction to Jim Henson. Peculiar, very interesting hippie, and had puppets with him. And he was like a, I don't know, probably, I don't know when he was born. Maybe he was 30, maybe he was in his 20s. I have no idea when he got when he was introduced onto the SNL show, but that was 1975. So I don't know how old or when Jim Henson was born, but that's it. That's all I
I
got.
think that's pretty accurate.
I
Well,
just looked it up real quick. So he was born in 36 and he would have been 39 when he was on Saturday Night Live. So I was off, not in his 20s. But the fun fact of this that has nothing to do with Jim Henson, he died on May 16th, 1990, and that's Desi's birthday, my brother's birthday. Like literally the day he was born. So nothing to do with the show, nothing to do with that, just the fact that that's a connection Desi has with Jim Henson.
well, I cannot wait for you to share that with him.
All right. He's going to be like, Josh, who the hell is that?
So
And then I'll
I
say,
don't know what
listen
it's
to this episode.
the fucking puppet guy.
Yes.
Um, so typically when someone thinks of like a mainstream puppet in any type of movie, Jim Henson is typically involved in some way or another, even today.
Hmm. Wow.
So even though he died in 1990, like that's the kind of legacy that he has just left behind in this like very specific part of the film and like creative industry in general.
Huh.
So like I think even like the characters for like Five Nights at Freddy's were designed from
Oh,
the Jim Henson sphere.
wow. Was he associated with the Dark Crystal?
Yes.
That is a trip. I remember watching that and being terrified as a
Yeah,
kid.
that's his. We'll get into that. You're jumping
Okay.
ahead.
Oops, my bad.
No, it's okay. So his first kind of debut and like rise to fame was through Sesame Street.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So that's Sesame Street. Those are like a Jim Henson creation. He created all the puppets for Sesame Street.
Huh.
And that's how like a lot of his original crew like met was through Sesame Street and public broadcasting, which RIP. And So a part of, and most of what I want to talk about is more like Muppets heavy, because I think that's
Okay.
where his fame really kind of clicked and kicked off in American pop culture.
Okay.
But Sesame Street was where he kind of got his start. And if you look back, Kermit the Frog was on Sesame Street, and then Kermit started going on late night TV.
Like as
So
a guest?
yes, like as a guest or like as like doing like a commercial or like because he had this fame from Sesame Street. And so it just like, it was like this thing. And now you
Huh.
see Elmo doing it. Like you see Elmo,
Oh, yep.
Good Morning America or whatever. That's not a late night, but you get the point. So what Jim Henson saw that a lot of these Sesame Street like kid broadcasting companies didn't see was like his whole idea was like puppets aren't for kids. Like Kermit's not just for a kid, Kermit's for everyone. And so as he like developed Kermit as a character, he Kermit in the morning was very different than Kermit at night. If you watch Sesame Street in the early days, you will see Kermit's attitude shift throughout an
Okay.
episode from like being really kind and gentle with like a kid to then like the classic like Kermit with like his like flailing his arms and he's all stressed out and like yelling, you know, like flustered Kermit.
Huh.
But it was this like late night kind of thing that audiences didn't love, that this kids thing was showing up on this like raunchy late night TV because in the early 70s that was bad.
Right.
So
Family America and all that.
yeah, so that's kind of what kicked off the Muppets. So it was born on a Sesame Street, and then a few of Jim Henson's writers, including Frank Oz, who that name is important and we'll get to later, began to develop the Muppet Show. And a lot of this, so it's interesting that you know Jim Henson through SNL because a lot of the writers that helped with SNL also helped with the Muppet Show.
Huh.
And so they developed this idea and they would go back and forth between developing this like weird puppet thing with Jim and like SNL that was like kind of taking off, but like, is it? And they ended up developing what was essentially like a show within a show, which
Okay.
was not a new concept at the time, but they had this idea of like a variety show, which is very SNL adjacent. It was hosted by a human celebrity that changed every week. But
Okay.
then the show within a show aspect comes in because you're watching the Muppets put on the Muppet Show. So you're seeing all the behind the scenes chaos of the bits that are happening. And that's the Muppet Show. And so,
Huh.
yeah, so very like SNL adjacent. And you see that like in its writing. But the writer of, so the first season of the Muppet Show was, and just like stop me because I'll just go on these tangents and it's like weird information that I know all this.
Okay.
So,
You're good.
so the first season of the Muppet Show did not take off. It was all filmed and produced in London and I think in London in the UK, and it did okay. It did not take off in the States at all. Towards the end of the season, its reviews in the UK were doing really, really well. Still hadn't taken off in the States. There were 24 episodes in the first season, which is a lot of episodes because it's a sketch comedy show. Within the episode, there's probably like what, 10 things.
That's
But
a lot.
within the second season of the Muppet Show is when it like skyrocketed to fame in the United States. And you see that in the quality of celebrity that wants to be on the show because they didn't have like a big budget to pay for the celebrities to be there.
Okay.
And so it was kind of like Jim Henson was known as this guy who like made sure the celebrities were having fun and had creative control of the episode while they were filming the episode. And then it was like
Okay.
time constricted to like their celebrity schedule. But it's like the second season where you see people like Julie Andrews,
Okay.
and Steve Martin. They have this like world renowned like ballerina. These like very famous people wanted to be on the Muppet Show. And that's when it just like really skyrocketed. And then that's when you started to see like the different bits, like the different sketches became a little bit more congruent. And so people that grew up watching the Muppet Show, there's like Muppets in Space, which is this like play on like Star Trek and like a kind of like the lore of space in the 70s, when they were
Okay.
like making it. But it's like these pigs dressed up as astronauts. Also, the second season is when Miss Piggy became a main character. She
Okay.
wasn't a main character at first.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Because when I think
Yeah.
about the Muppets, I think about Miss Piggy and Kermit and Ernie and Bart, Gonzo. Is it Ernie and Bert? Bert. That's what I'm thinking.
Ernie and
Gonzo.
Bert are Sesame Street. They're
Oh,
not.
see, I'm
They're
already
not.
getting mixed up.
See, so that's again, I know way too much. I'm like getting offended.
What?
Prince.
I'm so sorry. And it's weird because
That's embarrassing for me.
no, no, no. You're like, I'm triggered here. But it's interesting because when you said Frank Oz, I quickly Googled him, and now I'm like, I know so much of the work of them working together, and I'm sure you'll get
Yeah.
to that at some point. But yeah, uh, I apologize for my ignorance in the world of film and its influences because, like you're saying, in the '70s, space blowing up, you get a lot of you get the Alien movie, you get Star Wars. And I didn't know, this is embarrassing for me. I didn't know Frank Oz was a part of working with George Lucas,
Yeah.
which is a
Yeah.
whole other thing.
So the Muppet Show, just like the thing for me, like the takeaway is like it's just like real time character development. Like
Okay.
if you watch season one versus like season one and thinking about like the characters that you just listed, like Kermit, Miss Piggy, Gonzo, Rizzo the rat, Scooter, the chickens that Gonzo's in love with, the band, the Eagles, like the two old guys that are like heckling everyone. Like when you think of those characters, they have very distinct character like personalities and development in our minds now.
Huh.
But like season one, none of that really existed. But they were like, we're
Interesting.
still gonna do it. And
Okay.
like we're just gonna figure it out as we go. And so that's kind of the magic of Jim Henson and his crew. And this is what I think is like very special. And you see this in a lot of film, but with the puppets specifically, the Muppets, Kermit is Jim Henson.
Huh.
Like he's the one in charge. He's the one giving direction. But like Kermit is also what Jim Henson is not. He's loud. He's not afraid to speak his mind. He's not afraid to yell at people as they're messing up on stage, like for the sake of like Muppet Show comedy
Yeah.
character of Kermit.
Okay.
But like Scooter, who is Kermit's PA through on the Muppet Show, and like the whole lore of Scooter is like his uncle owns the theater.
Okay.
And Scooter, the person who was the puppeteer behind Scooter and who created the puppet, was literally like young buck getting in with Jim Henson, super excited, like started, he was like 19 on this show. And he talks about like, yeah, I'm Scooter. I was like, anything you need, boss, just let me know. Like, I've got it. Like, let me know how I can help you. And he's like, that's how Scooter's character is. But you see these characters like develop as the humans develop. And I don't know, it tells the story of humans in a way that is so approachable. And that's why a lot of people are really sentimental about Jim Henson's work, is because it allows you to connect with something that maybe you see in yourself in a way that's not like threatening because it's a puppet.
Right.
There's a humanness to the Muppets that people connect to. Like even within the Muppet Show, like having like audience members who are Muppets, who are these two old guys like heckling the quality of the show as the show is going on. That was Jim Henson and Frank Oz playing those characters.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, so the Muppets, there were only 5 seasons of the Muppet Show.
Okay.
Their fame continued to like climb and climb and climb. It became this like staple show in America to the point where in the 5th season, I believe, was when the second Star Wars was coming out, Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
And the entire big name cast were the celebrities on that episode.
Huh.
And then that's where the bridge between Frank Oz and George Lucas meshed, because that's when Yoda's introduced. And Yoda was a like Jim Henson adjacent character, and Frank Oz did his voice.
See, that's what came up, and I was like, this is embarrassing. He's been Yoda's voice since forever, all the way
Yeah.
up until recently, like even in the video games and stuff. Frank Oz has always been a part of all these Star Wars productions voicing Yoda. And I remember I just rewatched the Star Wars, and it's so interesting to see because in my mind, Yoda's always been a animated character or like animatronic, but not quite a puppet. And I just rewatched the Empire Strikes Back for the not the first time, but the first time in a very long time for one of that. I was in a race, religion, and sci-fi class, and basically we just watched Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, and Star Wars was one of them. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, Yoda is a puppet and he's kind of a menace. Like he was just tearing shit and being kind of frantic, kind of like how you were describing Kermit. And so as you're describing and talking about Jim Henson, his characters and development of these characters as they go, I saw that even within Yoda, because Yoda went from this like very kooky, frantic, eccentric, chaotic master Jedi trainer. And then he's portrayed like, because the Star Wars that obviously I was a child when I grew up in are episode 1, 2, and 3 with young Anakin and then the transition to Darth Vader. Yoda's a completely different, he has a different demeanor in those 3 episodes compared to his introduction and the fact that he was a puppet.
Yeah. And so Frank Oz has this like really interesting connection there. He's also, if I'm not mistaken, he's also who does Miss Piggy.
Oh, that's fun.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. But Jim Henson, what he realized was, so each season of the Muppets was 24 episodes. And by the 5th season, Jim Henson realized like that's it. You have over 100 episodes. And once you reach that point, you can use your reruns and just get the rerun revenue.
Huh.
And he used and the Muppets could have gone on like SNL has. Like it was so relevant culturally that it could probably still exist today in a very similar format. And people would still watch it the way that they did back then. And I feel like it would have like, I could see the Muppets on TikTok and all those things, but he wanted to continue pushing the creative envelope. Like he just realized like, okay, we've developed these characters. They are who they are now. So in between the 4th and 5th season, they came out with the Muppet movie, and the Muppet movie is basically Jim Henson's life.
That's the storyline. Like that's the plot and trajectory of.
Yeah. But the opening scene is like Kermit in a swamp.
Huh.
And he's singing this song, Rainbow Connection, which is like one of the most iconic Kermit the Frog songs. And it's this song about like dreaming.
Huh.
And to build the swamp itself, like Jim Henson was like, no, we're going to build the full on, like we're going to have a tank of water in the studio.
Okay. He went all James Cameron on it. He's like, no, we need the Atlantic Ocean rebuilt. These people are going to be swimming in the ocean.
Yes. And he but it's a puppet. So how do you build a swamp and not see the human being the puppet? So then he create this using scuba gear.
Oh my gosh.
Like create this dome so that he could sit without getting wet and play Kermit sitting on a log in a swamp. See this iconic song. But Jim Henson, like he's from like small town Mississippi.
Okay.
And just to give you like a parallel. So then Kermit in the Muppet movie, because you've never seen it, I'm assuming.
Nope.
He talks about having like big dreams. And he's like, I am going to go to LA and I am going to become a star. But then throughout the movie, he meets all these characters. It's the Muppets. He meets Miss Piggy. All of them. He meets Fozzie. And the cinematography in the Muppet movie is like so underappreciated because there's like wide shots of actual puppets and you see their full body, but you don't see the puppeteers anywhere.
Huh.
And like in that day and age, that was just
Right.
like, how did they do this? And
Uh-huh.
so not only at this point was he this pioneer in like character development, he was also pioneering like film and technology in ways that people didn't really appreciate.
That's
Uh,
insane.
and so, but within this story, he's like collecting all these characters, and then they get to LA and they like become famous, and that's how they get into Muppet theater. And it kind of like tells like the story before the story of the Muppet Show. So then that releases, and it's a huge hit. And there's like the ending scene, which I think is like so cool of Jim Henson, because he's realized at this point in his career, he's created this like genre that didn't really exist like beforehand.
Hmm.
And in the final scene, there's over 250 Muppets from the Jim Henson Company seen in the final scene. And they're
Holy
supposed to be
shit.
like Kermit's friends that he's found along the way. But in reality, behind every single one of those puppets is a puppeteer or a family member or a crew member that Jim Henson has like found along the way to
Yeah.
his fame. And so it's
That's
just this
incredible.
like really cool moment of like he gets to acknowledge in this weird way, like life is better when you have people involved beyond just yourself. And like
Hmm.
all those people were involved in puppeteering like pre Jim Henson. Like that's so niche.
Yeah. So one of the 250 people was operated by a singular person. So there was
That's how
250
I
people.
understand it. Yeah.
That is that is wild.
And they
It
had to build a stage for that.
that's I think we like I often forget about this. I watched The Godfather for the first time last year, and people will say it's this innovative, most like it's an incredible storytelling. It's one of the best movies ever made, and I watched it, and sometimes I forget that they didn't have the skills or techniques or the any of the technology or craft that there is today. But I'm assuming that just because that's my context that I'm in, and I forget, oh no, in the 70s it was different. Like the dolly shot in The Shining where the camera follows the kid on the bike. I was like, I don't understand that. There's dolly shots all kinds of movies, but if I watched movies prior to that movie in the 60s and 50s and that wasn't really, or I don't believe, a thing until
Right.
Stanley Kubrick started doing it. So it's just amazing to see that, like you're saying, you get 250 people who have been a part of this person's world and life, and you have this almost meta story within a story and connecting. And maybe that's another reason why it contributes to this major success is that, like you were saying, the human element, like the human journey. It's not just these puppets, and it's more approachable because they're puppets, and so they can be ridiculous, or they can follow their dreams and chase these whatever it is and find. They can be brave, I guess. They can be brave within their own story because it's Muppets and it's TV. And little do we know, it's like, oh no, that's Jim Henson's actual life from quote unquote growing up in the swamp. Which also, this is wild to connect Jim Henson's legacy to my own personal life. Can you just guess what our class of I just graduated with my master's, when was that? A year ago. Guess what our graduation song was?
Rainbow Connection.
Rainbow. And I was like, what the hell is this? I never knew what it. People are like, what do you mean?
Gosh.
It's I know. And they're like, it's Kermit the Frog, because everyone voted in our we had like, maybe, I don't know, it's a handful of dozens. So it's not like, high school where you had 600 people or undergrad. So because I went to a smaller grad school, but it was Rainbow Connection, and now it's just so funny. Here we are doing this thing, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even connect those dots till just now when you said that.
Yeah, it's Kermit the Frog. And the final scene, they're singing that song again, but it's like a different version. And it's
Okay.
acknowledging like you can't get to this level. You'll go further with people around you. You'll go further as a team. You'll go further like with growing and developing those around you too. And as they're singing it, it's so like, I don't know if maybe I'm just like a nerd, but it's like it's like the lovers, the dreamers, and you. And the way that Jim Henson can like draw in an audience is like very genuine to who he is. This like
Mm,
very gentle, loving soul. But it also just acknowledges like it's the audience that like believed in this world that he created. Like his fame and his like creativity is only like multiplied because people beyond himself like believed in it. And I think that's just like a really like that's just like a classic Jim Henson message. Like when he
mm,
died at his funeral, the phrase that was kind of like his like the message he wants to leave everyone is like take care of each other.
mm.
And because like the people in his world took care of him.
Oh,
So it's
that's
I don't know. I just think it's like he's just a very hippie 70s guy, but I feel like a lot of his messaging is still like so relevant to America today, you know?
right. What a simple but profound last words, you know? Something that can cut through time and space to say, take care of each other, especially, I don't know. I think every generation probably is like, it's never been worse than my generation now. And yet, like you're saying, it's this message that I think, yeah, continues to be needed. Like, are we taking care of each other? Not to be so melodramatic or anything, but I think in a real sense, seeing how, I mean, my belief, Sweet Condensed and all the stuff that I do with my work is movies and cinema and these kind of arts, they help orient us in our world, and not sometimes not even help. They are the orientation. Like they play the major role. They are the North Star. Sounds like with Jim Henson, this world he built with the Muppets, that was him making his way and finding his significant place in this world, and where he found himself to be at home, and home within himself, home within the spaces he was in. Like I can just see that. I mean, even in the story about the swamp, it was so important to him that he operates this, because it seemed like, yeah, this is his life, like where his life is. This is the meaning. This is his purpose. And he's hell or high water. I'm going to build a dome and I'm going to figure this shit out. And I'm going to operate this puppet because it's who he is. It's his essence of what he's contributing to not just cinema, but to life. Anyways, think that's a beautiful thing that I had no idea.
Yeah. But he's described as being like very gentle.
Okay.
And when you watch old films of him or old like excerpts of him, you could just see that like in his presence and how he, interacted with people. But he just had this push for creativity that I don't think a lot of creatives have. And I don't know if
Hmm.
that's a safe thing to say or not, but it was like he was in his 40s when the Muppets took off, right? Like his
Wow. Yeah.
mid 40s. And I'm 33. Once I find a job that I'm like, this is it, I'm not going to want to jump to another job. Like I
Yeah.
just want to be comfortable. And like, he was like, okay, peak fame, peak Jim Henson-ness. And he said, okay, we're done with the Muppet Show, because he used the revenue of that show and of the replays to fund other creative projects to push himself and to push the
Hmm.
technology and to push this genre further and further and further. And so after the fifth season, the people around him say that he was just like firing all cylinders creatively.
Oh,
And
wow.
he had like all these projects going on all over. And that's when his development of the crystal started, which is
Hmm.
what he called it. And producers were like, what the hell is this? This is not the Muppets. So then, in order to make the Dark Crystal happen, he basically had to make production companies happy by continuing to produce Muppet stories. So he's using the money from the Muppets to not only fund all these creative projects, he's continuing to make Muppet things with these developed characters. He's developing the Dark Crystal, which, if you look at the sets and stuff, are just like
They're
insane.
wild. I feel like it was an acid trip.
Yes. But at the same time, he also created this whole other world that we know as Fraggle Rock. which is this
Crap.
whole other breed of Muppets. It's like within the Muppet sphere. But his whole point in Fraggle Rock was like, I want to teach younger generations to end wars around the world.
Oh,
Like that was his whole like, okay, sure, with puppets. And like he created this, it was a whole new Muppet world where you had like these creatures that like look like Muppets, but they're not. They're Fraggles and they're Dozers and they're like it's this whole other landscape within his like puppet world. So you have Sesame Street now, you have the Muppets, you have, which are simultaneously going on. You have stuff with Star Wars going on with Yoda. Then you have, which is like indirect, but still directly related. He's developing and directing the Dark Crystal. But then he created this world of Fraggle Rock. And he basically told his crew from the Muppets, like, this is my next idea. Take it and run with it. I'm not going to be involved. I'm just going to fund it.
huh.
And so he just saw that he had this crew of people that it was under his name. Like people don't really know who Frey Cause is. People don't really know.
Right.
Like people don't know these other like puppeteers. You don't see their faces.
Right.
You don't watch the Muppets for the credits. You know what I mean? So he realized like I have this group of people that have put all their faith in me. I need to continue this for them. Like I need to make work for them. But he let them take the reins on it. And Fraggle Rock was the first Western show. So then this is what's crazy about Fraggle Rock, which I remember watching as a kid, like, and being like, what in the world? This show is so weird. And come to find out, the same way that like Facebook now has to follow certain regulations country to country that they're operating in, he did the same thing with Fraggle Rock. And he created Fraggle Rock with different characters and narratives for all the different countries that it was in.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's
then, so he had like
insane.
Germany, he had France, he had the US. I mean, it was all over the world. It was the first Western television show to show in the USSR on TV.
Oh shit.
And then 6 months later, the Berlin Wall came down and it was like this time of peace, I guess, for that part of the world. And he like his whole joke was like Fraggle Rock did that, but it's like,
Kind of.
like it was through, and Fraggle Rock was on HBO. That's how it first released. So it was like a big, pay for cable type of thing that people wanted to pay for because they loved the Muppet Show and they wanted to see what was next. But then when the Dark Crystal came out, people were like, "What
The hell is this?" But I still watched it. I remember watching The Dark Crystal as a kid, even though it came out in like 1982 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yet in the 90s, late 90s, I must have been when I was introduced to it, or maybe early 2000s, but which would make it almost 20 years old, or is 20 years old. And I watched it and I would be so disturbed. And yet I remember we watched it not just like once, we watched it a few times. And that's so cool to hear about. I don't know. I hear often about art being subversive, and I do believe that art is a subversive medium to express and to, get through. We saw that through music. I watched the Complete Unknown and learning about what's the Edward Norton's character. I forget his name, which is bad. But anyways, him using music and people starting to use music to talk about and to subvert Vietnam War and wars and stuff. And then it's just a really cool thing because it sounds like Jim Henson didn't make this stuff because he was, oh, I'm an artist, I need to do that. Like I create stuff, like you're saying, using fame, be a superstar. He was more so like, no, I have to do this. This is who I am, and I need to figure out who I am. I need to make meaning and understanding of life. That's why I create, and expressing it through his creations. And like you mentioned, pushing and developing himself into something beyond what the technology is or where creativity was going during that time. Kind of being truly like, especially with the Dark Crystal, in terms of like what we're still watching it, but ahead of his time kind of thing.
Totally.
Like, and that's like, not to get super wild, but like a prophetic artist, like being a subversive person, being a prophetic voice in this world. And I find it fascinating that, because whenever I think about puppets, I think about sock puppets. and I'm sure they're the early days of puppets. I don't know the origins or where they made them, but this idea that something so simple like a sock puppet and developing into like full on puppets is really cool. Taking an everyday mundane item that you just put on your foot and do your life, and you don't really think about it. But how do people put on their socks? Again, cliche, but one foot in at a time, and yet that's how the Berlin Wall felt. No, that's being
That's
able to
how
be
the
play
rule felt.
is just from socks. No, but I just think that there's something really really neat and really beautiful and powerful about that concept of puppets being the first Western developed Fraggle Rock being able to be showed in a communist, like very protective in the midst of war. Because then you had there was always a war going on, it felt like, but then the Cold War going on forever with Russia. It's pretty wild that Jim Henson's name is a part of that, or like within that world.
Totally. And it's, I mean, and just getting on to like the more like technical side of his work too. Like he was one of the first directors to use monitors within
Oh,
like a set,
huh.
because obviously like okay, so you're holding a puppet, you're unseen. So he would use TV monitors for scripts, for direction, for all these things.
Oh.
And that was like super revolutionary. And then he developed this show. It aired in Canada. It didn't really take off. It was about like, I can't even remember what it was called. It's not like squirrels or beavers or something. I truly cannot remember. But they did this scene where he started using the puppets as animatronics for the first time. And you think about like that kind of technology and how much it's developed, but that was like one of the first times anyone's ever been like, I think we could make this a robot. And
Let me
like
get Jurassic Park. No.
and it was like I think they were squirrels, and he's like in a boat and he's rowing the boat. And it was like an animatronic thing rowing the boat, but it's
Interesting.
like a puppet instead of doing like building out the whole thing. And but then this is where his like take care of each other like ideology kicks in. He's using these animatronics for the Dark Crystal.
Okay.
But Crystal, it's under the same studio. It's under Jim Henson, the Jim Henson Company, right? And so
Okay.
within that studio, he's like, oh, Fraggle Rock could use these. So then he's sharing ideas between two completely different production companies and utilizing this like new technology to make success out of like everything that he's doing. And just like the collaboration that required to me is like that he wasn't like, well, I'm not doing Fraggle Rock. I want to focus on,
Right.
the Dark Crystal and blah, 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 blah. Like he was like, no, like spread the love. Like everything needs to be a success here. And so you see that throughout his work. But he died at 53.
Dang, that's very young.
Super young. And he died from pneumonia.
Huh.
Like he had a cold. Oh God, he was coughing a lot. Didn't go to the doctor. And he ended up dying in New York, like super young at like this peak in his career.
Damn. I was gonna say I was surprised when I saw Frank Oz is 81 and still living and kicking, and seeing him come up, them do work together, and seeing him pass in the 90s is yeah, that's really sad. And from something like pneumonia, I mean, I'm sure in the 90s, I'm sure medicine wasn't as where it is today, but it's not like the 90s weren't like 1910.
It was just like untreated. And if I'm remembering correctly, I kind of re-researched this. I couldn't find anything about it today. If I'm remembering correctly, he was a part of like the Christchurch scientist.
Okay.
Scientist, if that is right. And they don't believe in using like medicine. And so that was a part of it, but that could be very wrong. So
I know for the longest time I thought, because there was these rumors about Selena and how she was Jehovah's Witness, and they denied the blood transfusion or some kind of operation that would have saved Selena. But then I like deeper researched it, and apparently that was false. So I don't know. I was like, oh well, I've told a lot of people that story, but yeah, I'm not sure. Oh my gosh, it says he was cremated. Did you know that? And where he was scattered? Taos, New Mexico.
Oh, I did know that. I did know that.
That's wild.
The Rainbow
Good old
Connection.
New Mexico. He was raised a Christian Scientist. That's what so he was raised to that. I don't know if that had any cross
But
with
he died in a
his.
hospital, so that's where
Yeah,
where that story kind of loses its validity. I think
gotcha.
he was just more like that idea of him just like working, working, working. I think he didn't want to stop.
Yeah.
He was at his parents' house, and he was like, his mom in an interview said he was getting like kind of out of his mind. And she was just kind of like, this is odd. And he was like talking like he was Kermit the Frog.
Oh,
And she was
shoot.
like, he never did that. Like Jim was Jim. And so she was like, I think we need to maybe get you some help. But it was too late. And he died within like hours of getting to the hospital.
Yeah, it says that yeah, he or I don't know how accurate. I'm sure it's decent on Wikipedia, but it checks out that yeah, it says that he just thought he was dying, he was coughing up blood, but he didn't want to stop working. He didn't want to mess up his schedule. So, but then it said he finally went to the hospital and he died within a short period of time there. So, damn, we lost a good one.
You know. So yeah, I feel like in talking about Jim Henson, it just felt appropriate to focus like mostly on the Muppets and like just weird
Yeah, for sure.
history of it. I remember going to see the Muppet movie that came out in 2011 in theaters
Okay.
with Jason Segel and Amy Adams. If you haven't watched it, it's worth a watch.
Okay.
It's very, very cute. Most recently, my brother Clayton
Okay.
has I don't know where this obsession started, but he loves Pepe the King Prawn, the Muppet, if you're familiar.
Is that the one that was on TikTok, the trend, where
I think so.
each photo would be a ridiculous, it was like a story and this person,
Yeah.
and then people started
So,
saying like tragic, obscene stuff. Yes, that is him, Pepe the King Prawn.
so Clayton has realized that he and Pepe have like very similar characteristics. So now we call Clayton Pepe
Oh, hell yeah.
or King
Pepe.
Pepe.
King
And then
Pepe.
he has like within like our family or like our like circle here, he'll say like they're a Pepe or like they're not a Pepe. And we don't
That
really
is
know
funny.
we don't know what qualifies someone as a Pepe or not. But I am Pepe number 2
Okay.
is what
Pepe
he
number
calls
2.
me. Noah's Pepe number 3. Rosie,
Oh,
our dog, is a
dang.
Pepe. Cooper is also my brother, is a Pepe. Joya, my sister, not a Pepe.
Nope. Denied. Denied.
We don't know. I don't know.
See, I need to fly out there to see if I'm a Pepe and eat some food and go to the Beverly.
Yeah, we could
That
do
is funny.
a Vegas film tour. Mark
That would be
Wahlberg
great.
lives here now, his whole
Oh,
family,
shoot.
and they're trying to open a studio here.
Oh,
'Cause
cool.
He thinks Vegas has a lot of like potential
Yeah.
for that kind of stuff. I think it does.
Yeah.
There's a lot of quality production stuff out here.
Yeah, it was cool seeing. I got to see The Last Showgirl in theaters and a Q&A afterwards, not live, but they had it recorded and they screened it. And it was really cool to hear the small indie budget and how they worked with the hotel that the characters based on in that casino or in that hotel on the strip, and just how they had to work with Vegas and the production and the city to do that, and they had very minimal money. And so anyways, all that to say too, Pamela Anderson did incredible, and then now she's in the launch of Naked Gun 2. So Vegas is changing lives. Like I remember Pamela Anderson saying like, I feel like I just begun what I want to do and passionate, and which is wild because I think everyone just knew her from Baywatch or whatever else that they knew her from. And so that's been sweet. So anyways, Clayton is Pepe. Do you think besides being Pepe number 2, Are you a Muppet? Like, do you have a character?
Oh, so I asked Noah about this because I feel like this is like a great like icebreaker party question. Like
Okay.
if you were a Muppet, who would you be?
I
Because
truly have no
everyone and
idea what
like
my answer would be.
so I asked Noah, I think Noah would be Gonzo because
Gonzo. Okay.
Gonzo on the Muppet Show, he was known as like the Muppet Show's Daredevil.
Ah.
And he's always kind of out there, but he was like had main character energy, but he was
Hmm.
never afraid to like try something new or like reinvent himself.
I love that. That's very Noah. Noah once drank water out of a Bass Pro Shop river, and he thought, and then he got sick. It wasn't a river. It's like, you know the Bass Pro Shop like fish. They put fish
I
in there.
never heard this story in my life.
Yeah, we were in Phoenix, and someone said, I don't know if it was back in the day where it's like you won't do that and you just do it, or if someone does odds, but he drank it, and then he was convinced he had Giardia because I think he got in his head he was going to get Giardia, and he mentally psyched himself out, and then he got sick, and he was like, "It's Giardia, dude," which is so funny to say that he got Giardia from Bass Pro Shop while shopping around on Skylar Neary's bachelor party in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh my God. I've never heard that story, but I believe it.
Oh, it's very Noah. So I agree with
Yeah.
the Daredevil. Something as silly as that, or also just, action type of Daredevil is totally Noah as well. He
Yeah.
almost
So
died in his
yeah,
Camry all the
just
time.
like Gonzo will like shoot himself out of a cannon type of like and he's not afraid to wear a costume. I feel like that's pretty Noah as well.
Okay. Wait, what do
So
you say I am? Did Noah have a thought?
I asked Noah what Muppet he thought I was.
Uh-huh.
He said Rizzo the Rat,
I don't even know who Rizzo the Rat
which
is.
after like looking it up, I was like, yes, it's Rizzo the Rat.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I've
'Cause
seen Rizzo around.
Rizzo's he's from like New Jersey, I believe. He's like very proud of where he's from. He has this like very involved family, and he's a rat, but he like wants to dress well, and like he just like I don't know. Noah's like, I feel like he would just be Rizzo the Rat.
That's great.
There's like a whole episode from the Muppet Show where they like introduce his family. It was like a whole subplot, like a little rat family. And then in the Muppet, I think it's the Muppet movie, or it might be the one that came out in 2011. I can't quite remember which one it's in, where he meets like rats who are in prison, but they're actually rats. Like the prison is like a testing facility, and they're like in like a
Okay.
rat cage,
Huh.
and they're like being tested like for different chemicals or medicines and
Oh
stuff, and
my
they all have different
gosh.
things wrong with them.
Oh my God. Test rats for products.
But they're like jail rats. Anyways, yeah.
That's wild.
Noah thinks I would be Rizzo the Rat. I agree with that. I personally, this is like a really hot take, but I feel like you are Kermit.
Oh, wait, why is that a hot take? Is that just because it's Kermit and no one can be Kermit?
Yeah. But I feel like the whole idea of like thinking of Kermit's like story of like where
Uh-huh.
he started to like where he's going and like collecting these like characters along the way. Like I feel like that's what you're doing. Like you had started and you're like collecting your people and your stories and your things along the way as you're like rising into like what you're becoming.
Huh. I, if I'm allowed to say this, I love that. If I can,
You're glad, yeah,
if
yeah.
I'm allowed to say I agree, I feel that. Especially just resident. I didn't grow up in a swamp or anything, but this just idea of, yeah, just being very privileged to have a very wide network and a community of people that care for me and have taken care of me, and I try my best to take care of them. And in doing my best, moving through these different spaces and creating community has been really important to me. And I've moved 5 times, I feel like, in the last 4 months or 4 years, and living with people that I know and creating new relationships. It just feels great to feel like we're taking care of each other and living out that Jim Henson. So,
Well,
um,
yeah, and I think about like I don't know. I think about that like ending scene and thinking about like Jim Henson was like, I'm here, but so is everyone else. I feel like,
Mm,
and that's like, if Jim Henson is Kermit,
right.
right? Like, I feel like that's how you operate too. You're like, I'm here, but so is everybody else. Like, you're very like, I don't know, you just like, you bring others along with you. Like, I think about Sweet Condensed. That's
Right.
literally what this is. Like, you're bringing
Yeah.
others along with you. And it's like, we're figuring it out. Let's
We're
do it.
figuring
Like,
it
let's
out.
consistently do it. Let's consistently get these emails out. Let's consistently like post what we're watching every Wednesday. Like, we're doing it because this is like what I love to do. I think it's just cool.
Which has been so great. And I love hearing that because it truly is like any of my successes. I've always said it's not mine, it's ours because so many people have come along the way. I've truly been thinking about, I've always wanted to run a media company that did podcasts and essays and newsletters because I was so inspired by Shea Serrano and The Ringer and Bill Simmons. And I thought it was the coolest thing. But I had the hardest time launching anything because I just didn't want to do it alone. And if I'm being honest too, Drew has been such a major, like him being co-creator of this whole project has helped me with, I have all these ideas and visions, and having someone like Drew who has the dedication to, he's like, hey, if I say we're going to do this weekly, we're doing this weekly kind of thing. And we're like, he's really done that in a way that's made me also be like, all right, I can be consistent. And it's been really inspiring to be like, yep, it's bringing along Eric and Sarah, because all of this, like you're saying, we're figuring out as we go. Like we had a Living a Stream podcast that was separate, a Medium project that was separate, and that was me and Sarah, and Eric and I were on Living a Stream, and then Drew was like, oh, let's do this. I told him he was thinking about all this stuff, and I said, dude, why don't we just come be a part of what we're doing, Three Milks Media, because that's what we were calling it at the time, was Three Milks Media. Well, Three Milks Media is still a thing, and it's the production, it's the in-house, it's my freelance business production DBA that I use specifically for in-house production. So Three Milks Media is like,
Yeah, it's still on the email.
yeah, it's the production company that's the umbrella for Sweet and Condensed. And so it's been really cool to see it, yeah, develop into where it's been and how all these people have been a part of it to shape it into what it is. But it truly is through this heart of like going to the movies to figure out my life. And that's kind of been the foundation of a lot of this stuff. So I like hearing that.
Well, and I think too, like I was thinking as I was getting ready to chat with you, like the idea of like this like Josh averse, like have like these characters that are really consistent. On other
Right.
podcasts, they'll say like you're a friend of the pod, like,
Right.
but you have like I think about when we were still in New Mexico and you're like, hey, we want Jeremy and Skylar and Noah to like do this with Eric and I, and like these are like characters that you've collected along the way that in other
Right.
podcasts where they're not there, like you either have mentioned them or you say phrases that they say or whatever.
Right.
Like it feels like this, like, I don't know, like there's like all these little like connections along the way. And that's like the like character development in the sense of like,
Right.
I don't know, it's just cool. But
That is cool.
my other hot take then, this is why it's a hot take. I
Okay.
feel like Kelly is Miss Piggy.
Clayton?
Kelly.
Oh, Callie's Miss Piggy. I don't know much about Miss Piggy, but I'm down. What is Miss
So
Piggy's?
Kelly, so Kermit and Miss Piggy are lovers.
Okay. That's not a hot take. That's a great take. Just kidding, Eric. Don't It's jokes. It's jokes. It's this really
She's like very fabulous, but like
okay.
don't cross her because she also knows karate. Like I feel
Oh,
like
yeah. She don't take no shit.
mhm.
No, I love that. Nope. Callie's Miss Piggy. And Eric is, I don't even know. Just need to pull up. I'm gonna need to pull up a random Muppets characters list and then say he's Ralph the dog.
That actually is a great take.
This is Eric.
That's a
Oh,
great take.
they're
So
gonna have so much fun listening to this.
Rolf was the piano player of the Muppet Show.
Okay.
And when they were creating it, they weren't sure if Kermit or Rolf were who was going to be like the host and the main character.
Oh.
Rolf keeps the show going with his like musical, like, and just play the piano. Like, here we go. So he's a very consistent character that like keeps the ball rolling on things and like keeps them organized despite the chaos.
Huh. That's Eric. There we go. Because he's truly been also like, okay, so Drew being, the co-founder and co-creator of what Sweet and Condensed is today, and then
Yeah.
the fact that Eric and Sarah were just so down, because I was just so terrified. I'm like, we were building this world, and I'm so terrified that I'm going to say, hey, we just created this newsletter called Sweet and Condensed, but how cool would it be if like everything was Sweet and Condensed, the podcast, and it felt like a little bit like we started this project, and now I'm asking them to rip it apart and go put it somewhere else. They just were like, yep, sounds great. Roll with the punches. And like, not even punches. They were just like down. And both of them were down to earth. Eric obviously is down to earth and he was so on board. And me and him are been very consistent on the podcast. And yeah, it's been a hell of a time, like being able to have Drew, be consistent with all the written stuff, and Eric consistent with pushing me and him both pushing each other on a podcast. And we've dragged in a reluctant Kelly, but now Kelly's like become a major player on the podcast. So
See, that's Miss Piggy. Season 1, she wasn't even a main character. Season 2.
Oh.
And people have said like when they've worked with the Muppets, they say like the way they treat the actual puppet of Miss Piggy is different from all the other puppets.
Oh, look
Like,
at that. What a queen.
It's like the star. Yeah, she's the queen for sure.
Oh, that's great. Who knew that our lives were Muppets? There's a parallel universe of this.
Great party conversation. Who would Drew be? I don't know Drew that well.
And I don't know the
Muppets that well.
characters enough, but maybe he's Fozzie Bear or Swedish Fish, Swedish Chef.
So Fozzie, like a stand-up comedian. He's another staple.
Okay. Sweetums. What's a Sweetums?
I don't know what website you're on.
Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. I'm just literally on Google's first little list of people. Watch. I wonder if I can share my screen. Ooh. So I'm just clicking on like these characters.
Oh, perfect.
Crazy Harry. The Animal.
Animals.
Drew's very into hardcore metal music. He's a big music head. Him and Eric get along with talking Turnstile, and I'm gonna start saying things like I know, but that's the only thing I think I know about that. But Under Oath and Aaron Gillespie and that whole scene, and I don't even know if Under Oath
So
is
maybe
still in the world.
maybe Animal. He could be Animal then. Animal's the drummer.
It'd be Animal.
He's Animal. But
Drew's a ride or die. He's a ride or die. He will help and do anything for someone's success. And he's good at impressions.
Let's see. So Sam Eagle is another one that like he's like the compliance Muppet. He's like he's always like, these are the rules, this is how we do it. That we messed up on this part. I'm so sorry. Like very like by the book.
That's funny because Kelly's always saying that she's getting bullied. Well, early on, she would call Drew like Hefe or boss or tell him that she's getting bullied. And so it's not quite Sam the Eagle, but it sounds somewhat similar, which is so funny to me.
But I feel like Animal is a good take, actually.
We'll say that. We'll say Animal. Drew, that's you.
Cool.
If you're
I feel
offended,
like that's cooler than Sam Eagle, personally.
All right, let's do it.
And Animal is another
solidified.
OG Muppet. But I feel like Drew is like a lot more, I don't know, involved in production than Animal is. But so the Muppets did like a cover of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay.
A few years back. And
that's right.
Animal's line, he starts with like the mama line.
Okay.
And then he realizes like, I don't have a mom. Like, where's my mom?
Oh gosh.
It's like this like existential like, mama? Like where? And he's just like, I don't know. But that's the other thing too about the Muppets is like because of the character development, their characters remain consistent despite the different stories they're telling. Like they're telling Christmas Carol, but with the Muppets. So then they fit in the Muppets characteristics into A Christmas Carol, and it just somehow has become a classic and it works. Or like Treasure
Huh.
Island, or like they've done, you know what I mean? Like they've been able
Yeah.
to maintain their character that they've developed through the Muppet Show and put them into these like classic stories.
Huh.
And I mean, and this, we haven't even gotten into like Labyrinth or
Mm-mm.
like Muppet Babies or
The Fraggle Rock reboot in 2022. That's currently still running on Apple TV that I just discovered 10 minutes ago. That's wild. Maybe I'll have to actually watch some of this and maybe we can have another conversation about it because there's just so much here. There's so much here.
I know there's a lot. I mean, Jim Henson, just like, I don't know, he's like a very underrated icon. So in 2000, I don't know the date on this, 2002, maybe 2000, after Jim
Okay.
Henson had died, the Jim Henson Company sold certain things to Disney. So Disney owns Star Wars, right?
Yep.
Disney now owns the Muppets, but they don't own Sesame Street. They don't own Fraggle Rock.
Okay.
So now there's like the Muppets is separate from the Jim Henson Company, but people say that a lot of the creativity and development of the Muppets kind of ended not necessarily with Jim Henson, but with Disney purchasing it. Is my take. But I remember I would go to Disneyland and it used to be like a Michael Jackson show.
Yep.
And then they turned it into like a Muppets something.
Yep. I think I remember that and being so sad when it was no longer Michael Jackson. Not necessarily because of the person of Michael Jackson. It was just more so that was the show I grew up going to watch when I was in elementary school.
I'm going to look it up.
We talked about it on one of our podcasts and I linked the video to it and on YouTube, and watching it again was both nostalgic and also I was like, holy shit, this is weird and wild.
Muppet Vision 3D, but it was something different. It wasn't.
Because it was still Star Wars, right? With the Muppets?
It was. What ride was at Disneyland that had theater that used to be Michael Jackson show? Captain EO. That's what it was.
Captain EO.
And it had Michael Jackson in it.
And he would sing his way and defeat. There was an enemy, or like I forget what the enemy's name was, but yeah, it was a trip. And the dancing and the songs and stuff and the costumes.
And then it went to like Honey, I Shrunk the Audience.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe it was Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, and then it went back to Captain EO because people were so sad. I'm going in November, so I'll update. I'll give you an update.
Oh, that would be great.
But
I think my internet's being all stupid.
But that's my Muppet history lesson. Jim Henson history lesson.
Well, I'm grateful.
It's true.
I hope the people are grateful. That was very fascinating and insightful just to see how much Jim Henson actually touched and influenced in this world is wild, to the point where my graduation song was Rainbow Connection is wild. But okay,
And
before
Desi's birthday.
Oh yeah, and Desi's birthday and his death being, maybe Desi is Jim Henson reincarnated. But so yes, thank you again for being on. But before we depart, real quick, I thought it'd be fun to ask a real quick question before signing off that we've never done before. Is there a couple movies that you would recommend that if you wanted people to see you're like, oh yeah, this is these two movies. I think I already know one of them that you're gonna say. But what is some Amerique movies? Just two movie recommendations.
Only two?
Okay, maybe three. How many do you got off your head?
I'm just gonna fire some off that immediately came.
There you go. Just
okay.
Yeah.
So
it could
number
be more
one,
than two.
Almost Famous. That's my favorite movie. I've got to see it on the big screen thanks to Noah. That was like top birthday moment. Anyways, I love that movie. Highly recommend if you haven't seen it to go and watch it. Not necessarily revealing anything about me. I just love the movie. Movies that I grew up on. The Lizzie McGuire movie was consistently something that I rented from Blockbuster. Like,
hell yeah.
Like I should have just bought it for how much money I spent renting it. And I don't know. I feel like, but those are like two very odd choices. I love the movie Crazy Stupid Love. I guess
Great
I just like
pick.
love stories. Crazy Crazy Stupid Love. I saw that in theaters and it blew my mind. And Wicked.
Oh, okay. We have a Wicked fan.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
love musicals and I cannot wait for the next one to come out. But getting to take Noah to see Wicked was a theater kid's dream come true. It was so fun. We were with Bryce
Hell
and I,
yeah.
and it was such a good time. And Ari and I were the only ones in the theater like singing. And I cried. And then I was like, wait, part one, these bastards.
They got me too. I didn't know anything about Wicked till I watched the movie, which is sad to say. I was like, I don't know any of these characters, Alphaba, all the things. So, no, those are great picks. I still have yet, and I'm so sorry, I still have yet to see Almost Famous. It's still on my queue, and I need to watch it because I was like, as soon as I thought of that question, I was like, she's gonna say Almost Famous. I already know it. So, Almost Famous, Lizzie McGuire, Crazy Stupid
Almost
Love.
Famous is one of those movies that when it came out, I don't think it was like popular necessarily.
Okay.
But it's just a good movie. It's kind of dark in places, but my mother-in-law like recently quoted it at me and I was like,
Damn.
how do you know that movie? She's like, it's like, it's your favorite movie. I watched it.
Oh,
Leslie.
that's very endearing.
Yeah. So,
And all I feel is shame for not watching it. I'm so sorry.
oh, and this is a fun fact. You can put this in the bloopers if you want.
Okay.
When Noah and I were dating, we were at the Young Life all staff in Florida. And I'm like asking it, like, I don't know this guy. So I'm like asking him all the questions. And I'm like, what's your favorite movie? And he said The Sandlot, like without skipping a beat. And I was like, oh, that's a great favorite movie. Like very, very solid choice, you know?
Uh-huh.
And like didn't really think anything of it. So we dated long distance. And the first time he came out to Vegas, I had bought him a pair of PF Flyers.
Oh, that's right.
And I was like so excited. I'm like, this is so cool. Like, this is his favorite movie. Like, he's going to think this is like I thought this was like this really cool gift, right? He unwraps the box and he's like really confused. He's like, why did you get me these shoes? Like, this is so nice.
He lied.
He lied. He then told me, he's like, I just said The Sandlot because it sounded like a good answer.
Oh my gosh. What a Noah thing. What a punk ass.
So he still has the shoes, but he doesn't wear them very often. I think maybe they're wrong size or something. But
because he has no idea what. That's so funny and an insane move by Noah.
But also like classic Noah.
Oh, 100%. He commits to bits. He'll just say things. And then we just talked about this on one of his previous episodes. Like how much time is left? You know, there's a 5-second rule or 10-second rule. You drop some food, you have 10 seconds to eat it. How much time can pass before it's just a straight up lie?
Oh, like the Jeremiah Conrad situation on Summer I Turned Pretty?
Oh, I mean, that is also applicable, but that's not what is funny. That is tearing our friend group apart. So I was Team Jeremiah for so long, and mostly because Conrad was just brooding in the first 2 seasons, and it was very different to be Team Jeremiah. Everyone seems to be Team Conrad.
When I first watch, like I'm a sucker for a younger brother, right? So like I was like, I'll be Team Jeremiah.
Yep.
And then as I like started watching Team Jellyfish, no,
it's bad. On TikTok, it's bad. I'm officially, even though I'm probably still gonna sink the ship or whatever, and I feel bad going back on my answer. So there's a part of me that's like, no, I know I'm on the Titanic right now, and we're going under. This is terrible. But
in solidarity with you is Team Jeremiah. Just to
that's my guy. Okay,
yeah.
What a dude. But at this point, after these last episodes, I'm like, oh, there's impossible to be Team anything. I'm team other, just I don't know, not Belly. Basically, I think this whole thing is just exploded.
It's the classic line: you accept the love you think you deserve. Right?
Shout out, Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yes, it's like I'm Team Laurel. I'm Team Your Mom is Right. How about Shelly and Laurel?
That's so great.
Because like she's like, you're too young. Like, yeah. Oh shit. Go to Paris.
Seriously, when she was considering anyways, I could probably talk too long for that, but Well, right on. Well, thanks, Amerique. Thanks for joining us for this podcast. Yeah, we'll have to have you back on. This was so much fun.
This was really fun. Thanks for letting me nerd out about this.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for listening to another episode of Sweet and Condensed. Jim Henson, his life, the world, and all the things that he created. As usual, you know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, send to people,
Subscribe
send
to
to
the
someone
newsletter. People,
subscribe to the newsletter.
it is so good. It literally helps me determine if I'm going to spend money at a movie theater or not.
Oh my, look at this. This is real time. I did not ask her to say that. I mean, I didn't, but thank you, Amerique, for that real time review.
I'll be like, oh, I'm not going to go watch that.
Well, what's really fun too is like Eric loves Together. I watch Together. If you're a fan of the body horror genre, like at the end, we're like, hey, see this in theaters? Because in the newsletter is it worth the price of admission or not, or wait till streaming, not whether or not it's good or bad. You could read our non-spoiler section, and even though we say go watch it in theaters, you could be like, oh no, now I know what to expect. Hell no, I'm not watching this. So hopefully we're navigating people's limited resources and limited time when it comes to cinemas. We're trying to get people back in the theaters because it's a blast. I love watching movies on that silver screen. So subscribe at sweetandcondensed.com. Give us your money on Patreon. All these links are in the show notes. And until next time, next episode, please go out there, live your life, and take care of each other.
Aw. Bye, Josh.